Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the One Meal Channel. I am your host, Nathan. Today we are going to make, yet again, a meal fit for a small family of 3 or 4, and we'll consume this meal by ourselves to constitute our one meal of the day. If you are interested in watching this video to its conclusion, we do it in one single cut, at least from this point forward. I hope you enjoy the video. If you enjoy it as much as I enjoy making it, it'll be easier if you do so with a beverage. I like chicken broth. We make it ourselves once a week. Let us celebrate another episode with a toast with one another. That is still extremely hot, both from the seasoning that we put in there and from freshly taking it out of the microwave. All right. Well, I think today I'm going to impart some knowledge onto you. And if it's not knowledge, maybe it's things you already know. It'll at least be a story. I have lived with my roommate now for about coming up on 5 years. We have established a good enough communication style with one another where we're just able to express things and solve conflict, and we've never had issues like having fun. Like him and I, like, we both have similar interests. We can ride motorcycles, we can go fishing. He taught me a lot more about vehicles. We both like cooking, even though I mostly cook the same thing every day. But conflict resolution is probably, the big thing that's important, because we're both dudes and we're both stupid and we just don't like to talk about our feelings and shit like that. But you got to talk about those things in order to resolve conflict. And one of the challenges about conflict resolution with humans is that we're always changing. We grow in life. Again, we've known each other for about 10 years. We've lived together for about 5. And as we continue to live together, we continue to change. We need, a certain level of consistency so that we're predictable, like our behaviors are predictable to one another. Otherwise, you wouldn't want to live with that person if you're so sporadic. But Noah's going to continue to grow and change, and I'm going to continue and grow and change. What I'm getting at, though, is that Noah pointed out about like every 2 or 3 years, I go through a massive restructuring of my entire life. My behaviors more or less stay the same, but my interests, my day-to-day operations, my schedule, kind of like the way that I communicate, like the things that are interesting for me to talk about, completely change. And one of those big changes was the start of this channel. Making a video every single day where between the hours of 3 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon, you monopolize the space in your kitchen and film a video where, him and I aren't cooking together. Even though we chat and banter for some time, there isn't a whole lot of, space or time for him to contribute anything during that time. It's a big change. And I made this channel mostly because he encouraged me to do so. But regardless, just making that change to filming obviously changes a lot of our interactions with one another. On top of all of that, though, I think I've learned the reason why I change my behaviors and my orientation so dramatically is in pursuit of my goals. And my goals are uniquely personal To me, they're very long, multi-year goals. They have to do with finances. They have to do with my personal development and my feelings, and so I'm not going to share that with like the internet. But again, they're very large, overarching, multi-year goals that have to do with finances, have to do with where I live, have to do with the people that I'm around, and because of that, involves a lot of effort. And I've noticed that if the goals are important enough to you, or if they're goals, they should be important to you. They should be more important than anything else. That's why you make the goal in the first place. If there are other things more important than the goal, that's really not much of a goal. So if you have made the goal and you've committed that it's more important than anything else, then you should just completely reorient and restructure your life to single-mindedly pursue that goal. Now, of course, I think most people would immediately say they're going to neglect other aspects of your life, and I would agree with that. Your goal can't be accomplished if you sacrifice everything else around you. But your habits and your day-to-day operations should support your ultimate goal, if that is what will truly make you happy. And if you need to change your goal or you need to reorient to make your goal a little bit more sophisticated, then do so. And I do that about every 2 or 3 years, because the closer that I get to accomplishing my goal, the more I know that my goal needs to change a little bit. The reason why I'm bringing all of this up is because I got into a situation today at work where a couple of my coworkers, for those of you that don't know, I work in sales, and I work in a very specialized role where I'm responsible for building out my own book of business and managing the business that I bring in. Typically, those are 2 separate roles. You would have a business development rep who is in charge of developing new business, and then you have your account manager that is in charge of managing relationships that are already established and maybe bringing on new business like through referrals of existing clients. I do the job of both of those people on my own, and I do that with a handful of other people as well. I am the senior member of my group, been there for nearly a year and a half, and although I'm not having the results that I want, I'm in good standing with my company. They're happy with the results that I've gotten to them. I just would like to have even more results than I have been able to get. The 2 less senior members of the team have not been having a good run at it. They ended up getting spoken to by senior leadership, and essentially senior leadership said that if they don't get their numbers up, they're not going to have a job. That very easily could be me. Just because I'm saying it and just because I'm saying I'm a senior member doesn't mean that I have any more job security than they do. Honestly, I feel a little bit left out. I wish management talked to me. But I can only hope that they didn't, because I'm on the right path right now. Anyway, the point is that any of us can lose our jobs any month, including myself, even though I didn't get a talking to. And so one of the junior members reached out, put a meeting on the calendar, and essentially just asked what we were doing and what we can improve on, or what they can improve on in order to get themselves in a better position. And the big contribution that I was able to make is, again, focusing on that adaptability. It seems really basic and not very helpful. Like, of course, if what you're doing now doesn't work, then you have to do something different. Like, great advice, Nathan. How much are you really contributing here? But you say that, but your daily habits, your goals, your priorities are not changing at all. So you might know that you have to do something different, but if your underlying reasons for why you do things don't also change, then you're not going to get a different result. And the way that I accomplish that is by breaking down all of the different aspects of my life into their most basic premise as possible, which is why I cook the same food every single day. I mean, I take it very literally, where I buy the same food from the store every week, and I eat the same food every day. I film the same kind of video because I I'm able to predict exactly how much time it's going to take me to get all of this done, how much time I'm going to have to sleep before my graveyard shift. What I'm going to be able to get done at work when I get wrapped up with this, because I work remotely, and get back into the office. The same with work. It's like, if you're working the role of two people, well, I mean, those guys are older than me. Just because I said I'm the senior member doesn't mean that I'm older than them. I'm 26. I'm younger than both of them. They have way more experience in life than me. But they didn't even see their role as like being the role of two people. Like you're being a business development rep and you're being an account manager at the same time. I don't care what your title is. That's what your role is. So break it down to its most simple points. What do BDRs do? What do business development reps do? Well, they make a crap ton of calls. Like they make 100 to 150 calls a day. Now again, that's their only job. That's their only job. So does it make sense for us to be making that many calls a day? No, we have two jobs to do. But how many calls are you making? And if the answer is you're making 5 to 10 to 20 calls, like you're not making enough. And then the second thing is like, all right, if you're an account manager, you manage existing relationships, how many existing relationships do you have? And if you have to build all of your relationships from scratch and you've only built like 2 or 3, well, like how much time do you really need to be spending managing those relationships? Probably not a whole lot. So this is what I think about it. Despite having to build your relationships from scratch, these guys are still getting paid a salary. And in sales, when you make a sale, you make a commission. And so I broke it down like this for them. I said, if you're getting paid a salary and you're getting paid commission and you're working 2 separate jobs, which payout is associated with which job type? And my thought is, well, if your job as a business development rep is to just make calls, then you're probably making a salary. So your salary is for your business development rep job, and your commission is for all of the sales that you make. If you're not making many sales, but you're not making a lot of commission, then are you doing the work developing your business that would justify the salary you're getting paid? Because let's say you're getting paid, I don't know, $45,000, $55,000 a year. And by the way, I don't get paid that. I don't get paid any salary. These guys are. So say they're making $45,000, $50,000 a year, because I don't know what they're making. I just know that they are getting paid a salary. And they're making 10 to 15 calls a day to people, to complete strangers. They're not calling references. They don't have any people that said they wanted to buy a product and they're like calling them. It's not like you called the shoe store saying that you wanted to buy shoes and they're calling you back to like confirm an appointment for you to come in. They're calling complete strangers being like, hey, do you want to buy some shoes? And most of the time they're getting people hanging up saying hell no. If you're only making 50 calls a week, maybe 100 calls a week, that's like 200 calls a month, maybe 250 calls a month at the most. So you're making, let's just say $60,000 a year, because it's a round number. You're probably not making that much, but say it's $60,000 a year. That's $5,000 a month you're getting paid to make 100, 200 calls. I mean, you're getting paid $2,500 for 100 calls. You're getting paid $25 a call. Like, do you think that's really worth it? Every phone call you make, you're getting paid $25. And most of them are or saying no? I don't think you're doing enough work as a business development rep to justify the amount of money that you're getting paid. When I put that in perspective for them, they completely switched. And they went, well, if we're not making enough calls, then we want to be able to talk about more relevant things. We want our quality of our calls to go up then. We don't want to be calling being annoying. We don't want to be calling talking about BS or it being selfish. So it goes, okay. Then let's break down this even further and be even more simple. Like with the tariffs that are going on right now, there's a lot of uncertainty about commodities and goods. I work in technology. That means hardware. There's a lot of uncertainty around hardware. And if you're looking to work with a brand new company, maybe starting with hardware is a bad idea. Because understand, you're not the only ones calling in to these businesses. If the economy is really uncertain about hardware, then where do you think a company is going to go to learn more about hardware? They're going to go with their partners that they're familiar with. They're going to go with their resources that they're familiar with. And they're going to ask them questions about what they should do because of the uncertainty of hardware. They're not going to go with a stranger. You know, if you don't know how your car works, or something bad happens to your car, are you going to talk to your uncle about it? Maybe. Or are you going to talk to a dealership? You know, you might talk to your uncle about it, but you're certainly not going to let a complete stranger tell you what's wrong with your car and diagnose it. You're going to go to the dealership that you bought it from and say, hey, this is what's wrong with my car. So I'm not going to go up to a bunch of people and say, hey, are you having issues with your car? Let me tell you what's wrong with it. No, they're just going to go to a dealership. So that means software. Now, software is also tough to talk about because software is really expensive, even without the tariffs. Talking about software is like asking a woman how many kids she wants before you even get to the first date. It's like asking a woman how many kids she wants as a pickup line. Talking about software is a very personal question that not a whole lot of people talk about. What?
I just barely locked in for like 2 seconds and I heard something about the economy and now you're talking about like hooking up with some chick. What kind of content is this?
Yeah, you kind of ruined the flow
What are you making
of where
right
I was
now?
going right now. But yeah, you can always just watch the video yourself and like learn about it.
I get it in real time though.
Yeah, I mean, sporadically. I imagine it's more entertaining for you getting it in real time, like just bits and pieces.
Because I'm going from like reading something and then I catch a word that you say and then I'm reading something and I catch a word.
This is a wild episode today. You aren't going to want to miss it. Yeah, I mean it's where was I? Yeah, I just if you talk about software with a company that's never worked with you before, it is like asking an extremely personal question with somebody before you even go on a date with them. It's just seen as inappropriate, especially if it's security. It's even worse. But those are the questions that they want answered. And hardware, they're just going to go with the people that they're familiar with. So the guys that I work with are completely reorienting. Instead of talking about hardware with people, because we're in the middle of these tariffs and nobody knows what's going on, we're going to be talking about software, we're going to be talking about security, and they're going to be having a lot more success in their role, at least hopefully moving forward. So we'll chat on a weekly basis. We'll continue to break things down in even more simple formats with one another, and then be adaptable so that what works can be focused on, like all of our efforts can be focused on that primarily, and things that don't work we can just eliminate. I think it's incredibly beneficial, like that system is beneficial not just at work, but just for your entire life. That system that I outlined is the system that I use to like make money. And I'm helping impart that on to the other guys there. And only time will tell if that's like useful to them, but they were very receptive to it. I think it's useful for just your entire life. I think it's useful for like being able to make a YouTube channel work, even if it's a small one, even if it doesn't get a lot of views or a lot of subscribers. It's like, well, like how do you get the foundations of a YouTube channel to be successful? It's like, well, you got to upload every day or near every day. You got to have a central theme that you focus on. And if you have to focus on a central theme every day that involves cooking, that means you got to be near a kitchen. Going to Japan was nice. I filmed a couple of videos while I was out there. But the central theme of the channel changed when I was out there. It was much harder to stay consistent with that. So it's obvious that if I go on vacation again, I'm going to need to either have a backlog of videos that come out over that time that I'm on vacation, or I need to be comfortable changing the theme slightly, like temporarily over that period, and then stay consistent with that. Or just not upload daily, which is what I did when I was on vacation. I just don't like that outcome. Then the way that I started out this video was just by talking about interpersonal communication and conflict resolution. It's like, yeah, if you can break down the conflict into its most basic premises, you'll be able to resolve conflict in a way that works for you and hopefully the other person that you're with really quickly and effectively. Of course, it requires both people to be receptive to that. Yeah, I'm not going to give a specific example because that's private and unique to everybody. But I think we can all agree that oftentimes we can just complicate things and end up getting focused on certain aspects of our life that, when you reflect, really don't need to be taking the priority. And one of those things for me was like what I eat. It took some initial planning about what type of food I eat and how often I eat. And after the initial planning was done, I don't really need to think about it that much anymore. I know exactly what I'm going to eat every day. I know that's going to help keep my weight in check. And that's really it. With the exception of the bacon, there's really nothing in my food that is bad for me. Maybe the rice, maybe because I'm eating a cup of it every single day, and it spikes your glucosamine index. But we made the shift from white rice to jasmine rice to counter that. And brown rice gives you even less, but it's high in heavy metals. So again, we just got the planning out of the way and made small adjustments, and now we can cook the same thing every single day, and our body remains healthy. The next goal that I'd like to implement here before the end of this year would be going back to the gym. But the gym also requires consistency, and with my overnight graveyard job, that level of consistency to where I want to be just cannot be attained. So there's some at-home exercises that I do, mostly with band work for my joints, and just some push-ups, and that's basically it. Which again is better than nothing. It's actually probably extremely good for me. But my weight is sitting around, I don't know, 172, 175. And I prefer to be at about 185. That's where I feel like that's a good balance of just like how I look in the mirror with also the strength that I have. I worked with Noah in the garage, working on a car. We like moved around a transmission or something like that. And it was, I don't know, those things are heavy. So, you know, my joints being weak, like my shoulders and elbows, things like that, along with just my overall strength being down because I haven't been going to the gym. You know, I feel lucky that I only had to do that for a day. Noah, when he had a friend over, they spent the whole weekend doing that. And I do mean the whole weekend. They probably spent 20 hours out there. And seeing the amount of seeing the toll that just took on their bodies made me think. I was like, I don't even know if I could have done something like that. So I'm not out of shape by any means or unhealthy, but regardless, like sometimes there's just things that you gotta do. Like what if I had to move, right? What if Noah and I decided to move, and I pack up all of my stuff into the truck, and all the things that like Noah has, and I'm gonna help him with like his things. Like what type of toll would that take on my body the day before moving, and then we're gonna go out driving, and I'm gonna be all fatigued. So by the end of this year, I would like to quit that other job, that graveyard job. Whether I go down to one job only, or I just quit that job and exchange it for another one, doesn't matter. But this year I would like to have be the last year that I work that graveyard job. Okay, and with that being said, we will get into the final stages of assembling our meal. As usual, we are going to weigh it, but no burritos for me today. Made burritos yesterday. Used a massive potato today, so we'll see what our total weight comes out to. This looks massive. This looks like an absolutely huge bowl, even with the amount of stickage we have at the base of our pan. let's see what we got. Sorry about that. That's not bad at all. 2.6 pounds. 2.6 pounds. So that will put us in a slight calorie surplus today. If we include our bacon and the chicken broth that we had, which is good. Which is good. Get us closer to that 185. Be a little bit more useful if I was doing that and working out at the same time. I digress. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all listening to me going over some of the challenges and explanations of what I experienced today. I will see you all tomorrow, where we will be making burritos yet again. Bye.